Welcome to our channel Lightling Vision. Today the subject is the difference between men and women, and it is part 3. So if you haven't watched part 1 and 2, you need to watch them because Mother is giving us so much information. And welcome, Mother.
Thank you.
So this information is like precious tools for us. And you just mentioned earlier that you could go on like with part 30 because there's so much to say. So do you think you can abbreviate a little bit and share with us as much as possible? Because I know it is very important that we know this information if we want to have a better relationship around, like with everybody around us.
Yes, it's a vast subject. It's very. I would like to say it's daily life in all its details. It's part of the relationship between men and women, and is in fact talking about the relationship you have with yourself, because as I already said in the first 2 videos, each woman has a masculine side inside, and each man has a feminine side inside. So the 2 sexes are part of us all the time. The strange thing is that we are seeking it all the time outside of ourselves, because we are not conscious for the moment that it's in fact inside where it's hidden. So the quest is through the outside world and the relationships you have with the other sex, you will end up with yourself one day, but in a positive sense. It's a vast subject because it's the quest of all of your life and of many lifetimes. It's even the path to your soul or to God. So it's all the time there. The only thing I try to show is that because it's there all the time, it's in every aspect of your life, even there where you will not immediately see it, because for you it's something else. That's to say, making use of the 2 principles in yourself, whether it's the feminine side or the masculine side, is there in your life every minute of the day. Because it's not a woman or a man that you're seeking, but you seek to make yourself complete with the other principle. And the other principle is a way of being, of behavior, of consciousness. Now, the difficulty is that because you're not conscious of it, the first thing you will do is, if you're incarnated as a woman or in the body of a man, you will be very exclusive. You will say, well, I am a woman, I'm a man, so I need the other sex to make myself whole, or for those things I cannot do. Well, to some extent that is true. I mean, men have in general more physical force, so if something is very heavy, it's more practical if there's a man around and you ask him to lift it. But that are details. What it's all about is the psychological side of it. So as I already said, if you look at nowadays society, what you can say is that the feminine principle is a difficulty for everybody, for women and men. We have been dominated so many centuries, so many thousands of years by the masculine principle, that the feminine principle hardly does exist anymore. And that is the real problem for men and women. Because what you see is that women try to become men in their behavior, in their way of working on a daily basis, in their activities, in their relationship with the world around them. And men suppress also the masculine principle. They have a relationship with women that is very often not a relationship of equal parties, but they are just a little bit above the woman. They are a bit better, a bit more intelligent, a bit more strong, a bit more this and a bit more that. And women who are identified to being a woman feel that And they try to become also a bit more masculine, to become like him, or to face this. So the difficulty is that the woman, because there is a masculine domination on all levels, there has been for hundreds or thousands of years, women who are identified to their body being a woman try to seek a way out and want to become as strong as he is in front of her. And so they try to become like men, but that doesn't work. Because they do not realize that their real strength is somewhere else. The masculine principle is also in them as being a woman. And fighting it outside of yourself, in trying to become like a man, will never work. You will feel frustrated, angry, aggressive, humiliated all the time, and you suffer. So you might say the more a woman tries, and many women nowadays do it, to become like men, to live like them, to do things the way men do, she will get away from herself. She will not be herself anymore. Less and less. And she will get more and more frustrated. You might say that nowadays many women feel so-called liberated. They have their own car, their own work, perhaps even their own house, their own friends, their own activities outside of the marriage and the children. But I'm not sure they're more in harmony with themselves. They're more happy. I think it's exactly the same as in the past. Because the solution is, when you talk about being a feminine, when you talk about being in harmony with yourself, for a woman at first, that means having a contact with yourself as a soul. Because if you're incarnated in a feminine body, the masculine part in you is invisible. And that part is linked to your soul. And because you're in a feminine body, your soul is masculine. It's the other part of yourself. So really, if you feel vulnerable as a woman and you want to face the masculine domination in our society, the real unique road to feel your strength is to come in contact with your soul. Because there you can come in contact with that masculine principle that is your strength. It will never be outside of you in studying, being independent on a financial level, having your own car, having your own house. Never ever will you find it in that. If you're honest as a woman, you will see that you're as dependent on man as you have always been. And if it's not your husband you're dependent on, it's on your children or on other people in your life. But women who try to imagine themselves that they're independent, I will immediately say that's nonsense. Look at your life and look at the persons you're completely dependent on. If your children go away, or your eldest son, or your husband, what will you do? Don't imagine that you will be strong, but you will not. You will do everything to keep them, even if you don't want to admit it. So that means that you have, in all your independency, on an outer level, with all your diplomas and everything you have, your notoriety in society, there will be at least one person in your life you're completely dependent on. And that person is ruling your life, whether you want to know it or not. And everybody around you knows it. Mrs. So-and-so, it's her son that's bullying the mother in some way or another. And Mrs. So-and-so, it's her husband who's always behind her for something. And another lady, it's her mother who's constantly on the phone. That is the truth about women. And now, ladies, we can face it or not. So with all our independency, our cars, our diplomas, our financial advantages and all the money we have on our bank account, there's at least one person in our lives that's constantly, in some way or another, dictating our behavior in our life. I don't accept any woman saying, oh no, I'm perfectly independent. Nobody's dictating, telling me what I have to do. This lady tries to forget what's really happening in her life. Because then I will say, even if nobody in a physical body is telling what you have to do, then you will obey to the fashion industry, or your hairdresser, or God knows what, or your surgeon for aesthetical reasons, because you want to stay young. That's your truth. And all the rest is...
And by integrating our masculine, like our soul, the part of the soul that is masculine,
you will become completely independent of all that. And that's real freedom. Real freedom means that you're not dominated anymore by whatever in your life. No people, no children, no man. Not what the world will say about you, how you look. That is freedom.
Real freedom.
Real freedom. All the rest is no freedom. It's slavery. But in the first place you can say, many of us do not seek that freedom. They somehow like their slavery. Or they're just hooked on something or someone. That's the truth. Mm-hmm. But if that situation bothers you in one way or another, bothers you enough that you want to come free from it, you will not come free from it in an artificial way. If your mother phones you too much, saying, well, I will just say my mother, don't phone before 7 o'clock in the evening, or just twice a week, that seems to solve the problem. But no problem is solved, because you're still hooked on her. You just try to control it. But that's no freedom. But I think that if women realize that somehow they're all, in certain aspects of their lives, prisoners of something or someone, and that they want to solve, they can have the strength to face that, to say, okay, it's true, but I would like to solve it. Then we go to real liberty and feminine force. Then you can say that woman liberates herself and will end up finding her real strength as a woman. Because she will, to find the strength to liberate herself, she has to draw this force out of her soul, which is masculine. And then she will become more whole and more stable. But all the rest is make-believe. All the rest is make-believe. It's absolutely not true. If you look at men, it's exactly the same thing, but in a far more easy way, and for a man not easy at all. So I said, women accept that other persons in her life are dictating the law, as we say. So the point of liberation of a woman, finding her masculine strength, her real masculine strength, comes out of working on all the relationships that woman has with all the people in her life that are deciding at her place. Even if it's not called like that and it seems to be something else. But she's not free from those people. For men, it's something else. For men, the main point is sexuality. So you can say liberation for a woman, finding her masculine strength, is a path for a woman through coming free of domination from other people in her life. For a man, it's coming free from the sexual urge, which he's slave from his sexual urge. That is the problem of man. You can say for woman, it is affection, it is having sympathy, being loved by at least one person in her life. That might be a child, it might be a husband, it might be a parent, or whatever. Even, as I said, the surgeon, because she wants to be beautiful and somebody has to see it or to say it to her. For men, it's the sexual urge. Only. Yeah. Men are, in general, less prisoner of children, women in a more sympathetic way. Whether their wife finds them sympathetic or not is less a problem, as she should be there when he has his urge. I'm very white and black. But if you really dig the problem, you will see it's true. That's to say, a man marries for physical reason, very often. He might do it for financial reasons and all kinds of other things, but then he will seek another outlet for his sexual urge and he will have other women in his life. So what you will see in the case of man is slavery or being imprisoned by the sexual urge, and he seeks an outlet for that in many different ways. It might be in marriage itself, it might be in extramarital relationships, it might be in front of internet on all kinds of sites or with books. I don't know. Everybody has its own solution and its own focal point, but man, from that point of view, can be bought through sexuality. They're corruptible through that. Whereas women are corruptible through affection and certain kinds of relationships. That is what makes a human being weak.
That makes sense.
And now, to find your strength as a human being means finding this opposite principle that a man finds in sexuality and a woman in affectionate relationships, finding it in yourself, in link to your own soul, which is from the opposite sex, and then becoming free from this kind of slavery on earth. Which is not the same as that you cannot have relationships, that sexuality is wrong. No, but you're free. You're not corruptible anymore. And that you must want, becoming free.
Wow, thank you, Mother. I hope that you enjoyed part 3 of the difference between men and women, and you'll be there for part 4. And I encourage you to listen to the beautiful song at the end and to come back to us for the next video. If you want to know more about all that Mother does, like her music, her writings, and like the art, you can visit the website. Well, they're just under the description of the video. So I wish you a beautiful day.
Le soleil se lève sur la ville, je suis ressaisi sans me soucier du lendemain, ce qu'il apporte. Nouvelle journée, et pourtant le sol, il semble disparaître sous mes pieds. Quelle drôle d'idée, quelle drôle d'idée, sous mes pieds, quelle drôle d'idée, quelle drôle d'idée, quelle drôle d'idée. Mais le choix pourtant me reste, c'est ma liberté d'ouvrir une porte, de faire un geste, de te laisser aller où t'as